Welcome back for another round of the Crazyhouse 960 Team League. I'm just about to take on fumitoks, and this will be a Crazyhouse 960 short match, 5+5. I think we're going to have 4 games. I'm just going to confirm that with him. Alright, just about to get underway. So, bishops on e1 and f1, which indicates not much. I should play in the center. Gonna go e4. Normally play e4 in Crazyhouse anyway, so. We're not saying we're gonna get a familiar position, but perhaps. I'm not sure whether to go for d4 early. Bishop c4 might get knocked around by the knight, so I'd like to develop the knights early. Maybe just knight b3, knight c3. I guess he's going to do something similar. Wait for me to make the first move. Not exactly sure. I kind of want a castle queenside here because I'm a long way away from the black queen. Nowhere good for the bishop. I don't think trading here does anything special. Bishop e2, just leave the bishop there. d3 even. What am I going to do with this queen in the corner? What about a move like h4? Just to give the queen a little bit of space. Yeah, okay. Somebody has to break the symmetry soon. Queen h3. Okay. This is very amusing. d3, bishop d2 is an idea. Even castle king b1, then d3. Does he have any way? Yeah, I don't actually like castling, and there could be some pawn at a3 later. I'm just going to go very sensibly and d3, bishop d2, I think. Okay. I've shut out the f1 bishop, so that's no longer attacking near the king. Probably just bishop d2 here. It's going for a queen trade. So I guess he wants to take back with the d pawn. Yeah, I still don't want a castle queenside just yet. Until I've clarified what this bishop is doing against my king. A little bit worried about the a3 square. Perhaps I could just open the g file. Maybe he'd like to open the g file for me. Queens are going to be in a staring competition on the diagonal. So I'm deciding here to keep the king on d1, leaving the option open for, well, actually castling either way. What about taking the queen and then castling kingside? Interesting. Yeah, I don't know whether I should be allowing him to double my g-pawns. I'm thinking about bishop f3 and knight d5 also. What's he going to do with the bishop here? Not much. Might be trying for f5. Okay, king b8. Very sensible. I'm just going to go knight d5. I don't think he'll take it, but what else would I be expecting? Bishop d6. Alright, just covering the slight weakness on c7. Should I trade and dump the knight into f6 perhaps? Could trade here, knight at b5. Take here, knight at f6, rook moves. Then what? Is there any need to take a useless bishop? No, I think I'd rather keep my knight on the board. Or hey Chuck. Chuck is the first one in the chat. Welcome. I'm going to take here and go knight at b5. I'm still not sure who should be trading queens. Okay. That's a little bit nasty. Because I'm very cautious about castling and allowing a sack, and when he can trade queens. What about just rook b1? Yeah, only seems like one. Hey Jal. So one threat with this move, knight at a4 for the moment. Now, Fumitoks is known to be a very fast player. He likes berserking in Lee chess arenas. And I'm totally the opposite. I get into a panic. No matter what the time control is, I always end up with no time. So 5-second increment here, 5 plus 5. We're going to play a relatively short 4-game match. And this will be followed by a match against Zyxon, otherwise known as Firefly. Another very strong old Bughouse, Crazyhouse player. Take here, or you just leave the knight on b5 for the moment. Don't exactly have much of a plan. What's the idea of rook c8? He's just covering up the c7 square in case I trade here. Bishop b4. Alright, do I go c3? I'm going to trade queens, then go c3. So anyway, I can dislodge the knight on c6, not just yet. I think c3 is okay. A lot of these pieces are quite inactive at the moment. Alright, now what? Maybe he wants to steal a pawn over here. Should I bother defending it? Yeah, I really want to get something more exciting going than defending a pawn. Maybe like this and then take that way and try and dislodge the knight on c6, because I want to get into a7. I wonder if he'll play rook d8. Yeah, bishop g5, I just end up with a weak pawn on g5, I think. So taking this way was the plan. Right, so he's defending there, quite sensible. So knight takes, bishop takes, knight takes a7. Can't really see that it's getting anywhere. Take, bring the knight back to d4 perhaps. Or just pawn it. Pawn at d5? Alright, gonna go pawn at d5. Knight takes is the idea. Oh no, did I allow this? King c1. Knight takes, am I in trouble? I mean, I think I have to play king c1, I just didn't see this queen check. Yeah, I feel like something bad's about to happen, I just don't quite see it yet. Queen takes rook, king takes is covered, I think. Could be a knight c3. Take. Blocker. I have e2 covered, I have b2 covered. Could be a bishop a3 check coming. I mean, what else do I have? I think I just have to take it and hope for the best. There's a knight at d3. That's very painful because I have to block this way. And yeah, might even have to block with the queen just to cover some squares. King d1. Alright, can I play king d1? Yeah, I need another knight. This is not looking good. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to block with the queen, unfortunately. I think b2 is the key square that I need covered. So force move. Yep. And what now? There's no knight at a6, unfortunately. What exactly is he threatening right now? Not really sure, but I have to do something in a hurry. Maybe knight at b5? I think I have to watch out for knight at c3. Ah, that wasn't good. Knight takes. He could take on f2, pawn it, knight this way. Alright, so king e2 I think is busted, but I have to do it anyway. Knight f4. Yeah, he's got another knight. Yeah, so just knight to f4. No. Yeah, he's got a double checkmate. Yep, nice game. Queen at d3 check, I think, was the killer. I completely missed. So yeah, leaving the king in the center wasn't the best, but well played, Fumi. I'm not sure which way I should have castled there. Didn't entirely feel safe either way. Perhaps in this game, focus a little more on king safety. So we might get a similar sort of position. Okay. Didn't even notice this as a possibility in the first game. So b6, knight b7, king e7. It's not dead. But the other option is to castle, immediately allow, say, g4. Can I block off this line easily enough? Like d5, for instance, is that so bad? I can't see this is so bad, just a castle queenside. So g3 or g4. There's an option to play c6 or d5. Yeah, but I've committed the king very early, of course. He might push c4. Uh-oh. Can check. Pawn c6. Still seems pretty decent. Knight b6, I suppose. He wants to sack here. I don't really see any other reasonable options to defend. So just knight b6. So I want to avoid too many trades, especially knights, if he gets to sack on b7. Otherwise the plan is bishop b4 next, and just to kick this knight away. So some early aggression from Fumitoks with the white pieces, a bit opposite to the way he played the last game. So he's more focusing on king safety in the last game. And I was a little bit too ambitious with pawn at d5, I think. Allowing, yeah, well, I completely missed this. Queen at b3 check. Alright, so he's sacked a knight on b7, hoping to undermine the light squares. He, I guess, wants me to take back with a knight so he can keep dropping pawns or smash through on d5. So maybe a taste of his own medicine and go knight at c4, or maybe knight to c4. The trouble is knight at c4. Well, perhaps there's a rook b1, and then I'm going to get kicked away with d3, and that's actually quite useful for him. But I don't want to move the knight because it's guarding d5. I'm not sure there's any really any point to play knight at c4. but yeah, other ideas if I don't. Take here, knight takes, pawn back on c6. I feel like this is the square that I should be guarding. Maybe even knight at c7. Is that too passive? Knight at c7. Alright, I didn't really see any point to go knight c4, rook b1. And bishop takes was the idea. I'm just trying to defend d5 as many times as I can. Alright, so d3, no particular threats that I can see. Perhaps take time to tuck the king away to c8. So black is a piece up. I shouldn't forget that. And I have all the immediate pawn drops covered. I suppose he wants to go castles kingside. So how can I try and dissuade him somehow? Bishop c5 might be an idea. e3, alright. So now h5. Alright, would like to push e4, but there's just too many squares on it, too many pieces on it, and see the bishop here covers the d file. Maybe even keep pushing with h4, keep the position closed for the moment. Yeah, gonna go h4. Alright, so he's keeping this pawn in hand. It's a little bit unclear what to do with it at the moment. Just trying to make sure I'm covering all the key squares around the king, so there's no nasty surprises like there was in game 1. So even ideas to push h3 and then possibly pawn at g2 and try and collect all the minor pieces, and he can collect all the pawns. G5. Okay, is this something to worry about? I could go h3 anyway. Bishop g4 check. King b7. Maybe rook g3 trying to collect the pawn. Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe this isn't the safest way to play, but it's interesting. So there's either pawn at e6, which is extremely safe, locking out the bishop forever, I hope. Or there's a slightly riskier move, king b7, if he checks me. Rook g3, alright, so obviously he's now threatening here, so it's either so blocking up this somehow, maybe knight e6, or maybe even pawn at f5 and then e4. Yeah, I like pawn at f5, and then the idea is to push forwards with e4. Take. Yeah, I might even sack a queen here, and I don't mind if he takes this way. He could come back to the corner, I guess, if he's really trying to steal the pawn. And then I'm going to keep pushing in the center. Ideas of knight e6, perhaps? There's also a queen h5 check if he runs away. Alright, so which way to sack the queen? Take first, or I should just take it, otherwise there'll be a check and he'll clean up all the pawns. Bishop check is an option. Knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes. Only a knight in hand, it's not enough to do much damage, so I just clean up the rook. Make sure to watch out for these queen checks. So I've got all these squares covered. This one, this one, this one. There's no holes anywhere that I can see. I'm not too worried about this sacking a knight back, because I'd really like a pawn for e2, and I can actually pick up a pawn on the next move. So I'm not sure whether I want to... there's knight at a7 and then knight takes c6 is a bit of a worry. Bishop takes... There is knight at e7. This is less of a worry though. Although I guess... Alright, so do I have anything forcing? What about bishop at g4? And just saying you've got not enough checks. Bishop at g4 is an idea. Pawn at e2. No, that's not good enough. Alright, I have another crazy idea. Bear with me. It's to go knight b5. Very crazy idea. I'm going to go with this one. So obvious idea to weaken the square on e2. And this is coming with a check. So I have this one covered with the knight. I got this one covered by the bishop. This check covered by the bishop. Well, he can sack a queen to distract the knight, but I'm not exactly sure what to expect on the next move. Possibly there'll be a rook at h1 coming, maybe a pawn at g2. And I'm not sure whether to take the time to pick up this pawn or whether to just go all out for the attack. Castles. Alright, I'm going to play this without thinking. Alright, and do I have anything with pawn at a3? Knight takes. Let's say pawn at knight takes. Pawn at a3. Takes. What do I have left? A bishop and a knight. Is that really all I have left? Dear. Alright, I'm going to abandon that attack and... Yeah, it's not quite what I was hoping for. Let's see, does this move come with an immediate threat? Knight at e7 check. King b7. Check here, knight at king b7, knight takes. No, actually, sorry, the bishop is here. What am I talking about? This is okay. Taking here is okay. Oh, that one I wasn't expecting. Can I just... Oh, hang on. Oh, what am I doing? Yeah, this was no good at all. Didn't see it. I didn't see a good response. I was just panicking with the time. Trying to find a way to... I saw a rook at e8, knight at d6 at the last minute, and then I panicked. Maybe a bishop move to cover some squares would have been a lot better. So knight at d6, king d7. Queen at e8. Oh, I think I have to go here. Yeah, what's wrong with our bishop check? Okay. Ah, he's going that way. Alright, push the queen back. It's too much to work out. Oh, king takes. Wasn't expecting that one either. Bishop at... I think he's just got too much. Yeah, I didn't have to allow any of this counter attack, but I was just missing some key moves in counter attack. So yeah, I think this is going to be about it. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But castles, I totally forgot about. Castle's queenside. Rook at a1 check. Knight at b. Yeah, but the move to allow when his pawn landed on b6. I think I just didn't have to allow that at all. And was just going too much for the attack. Anyway, let's just focus on the current game. Probably just go g3 and open up both the bishops. It's very tempting to just think about the previous game because there's so many moments that I know I could have done better, and I don't know, sometimes I play risky moves just for the hell of it. So any weak squares around the king? Not immediately that I can see. I think I'm just going to follow suit and go knight a b3. Knight d6. Don't really have any better ideas than knight d3 and knight e5. Possibly bishop d4 just to avoid g6. Alright, let's play a little bit differently and asymmetrically. So there's this funny looking move, knight b5, but... Hey Legion, welcome! What is this move? Queen h5. I made a bit of a joke, I don't have to watch out for queen h5 from fumitoks, because it's 960. But he likes playing this move in regular chess, with the white pieces especially. Queen f2, rook f2. What do we do here? Queen f2, I suppose. Yeah, h4 I don't think is necessary. Queen f2. Looks quite reasonable with ideas to put the knight on. Well, c5 also. Or maybe I should leave c5 for the b3 knight. Has not been going good so far in my campaign in 960 Crazyhouse. I'm just spending way too long and analyzing fantasy variations where I just end up wasting my own time. So I think I should just take this and try and harass the queen. Now with the bishop in hand, he can't do much to my queen on f2. But his queen's relatively safe on h5. He's also stopping knight d3. So perhaps I should try and get rid of this pawn. Knight to c5 or knight at g5. Knight at e5 doesn't seem to come with a strong enough threat. It's very easy for him to defend the pawn. What about d3? d3 take, knight takes, pawn at c4. Yeah, I'm not liking the look of this much. What else? Other ideas? Bishop e5, pawn d6. The bishop covering the light squares. Don't really have any good ideas at all to free the knight on c1. Move this knight here, knight c5. Alright, knight c5 it is. I do have to be careful if he gets a knight in hand, because my queen isn't looking so safe on f2. I'm not sure whether it's worthwhile playing knight at a5. Bishop d5, shall I try to hunt the bishop or ask him whether he wants to trade this way? What about knight at g5? Again, it doesn't really come with a strong enough threat. You can easily defend this with bishop at g6. What else? Knight at c3. Yeah, I really should be moving this knight. But what about e2? Is it too loose? I'm gonna go knight at c3 first and think about playing knight 1 b3. 3 knights on the c file. So I guess just something like bishop at c6 and then... Yeah, I think it's okay to go here and then... Yeah, maybe he can pick up the h2 pawn. That's a bit of a concern. It's just funny that he hasn't moved a single pawn from A to E. Actually, I haven't either. I just noticed. I was going to castle queenside. But the king can be so safe, not having moved any pawns in front of the king. Whereas that doesn't happen in regular Crazy House, because by that stage there's already a bishop on c4 and a knight coming to g5 and a sack on f7. The pieces here are not poised for a sack. So I already think I've misplayed this with the white pieces. And I do think that a lot of the 960 positions are much more balanced compared to a regular Crazy House in terms of the initial starting position. So this pawn on e4 is extremely disturbing. I mean, I do think I should... Yeah, he's making the right decision here. Probably take with the a pawns. Yeah, and knight g4 is expected. Queen g2, or does that run into some e3? Yeah, Queen g1. I don't like Queen g1, but I mean this is going to come with tempo and there's no rook h1 to follow. So I think I should just abandon the rook and go for king safety. I'm just going to castle queenside. I somehow thought the king was going to land on b1 after I castle. Anyway, I don't think I'm getting mated. Why did I think the king was going to land on b1? Rook takes, queen takes. Probably queen takes to avoid pawn at h2, gaining tempo. Yeah, as I said, I can't see that I'm getting mated, but I'm missing a lot. Talking and playing at the same time. Pawn at b4, knight a2. Yeah. So I got two pieces stuck in the corner and he's got one. But what else is going on? Maybe he might trade the bishops this way. Knight at e6 check is an idea. Now that knights don't pose any danger that I can see. So what I want is for him to forget about king safety and loosen up a little bit. And then I can go for some counterattack. Right. Yeah, I can't see any better idea than knight at e6 at the moment. And again, I can't see that knight is really causing a problem. So I got d3 and e2 covered. Any way for his knight to reach e2 in a hurry? Not that I can see. So should I take here? Take the rook first. Again, some very tempting options. Knight c5 check, that goes nowhere. So I'm looking at taking here. Yeah, I think my king is relatively safe. So there's also a pawn at e6 check at some stage. Alright, let's just try to preserve the material. Yeah, I can't see anything better than... It's a little bit scary. But let's... Yep. Maybe g4. Alright, a pawn and a rook. What am I doing with a pawn and a rook? I need some more trades. I I need a soft spot to exploit. Yeah, the knight can trade for a bishop. There's no easy way in with a pawn, a rook and a bishop. Meanwhile, he's mounting a lot of pieces in hand. Hey, juice bold. Ah, he moved. Knight at a3. What's going on here? Am I getting mated? Don't I have all the knight checks covered? So rook a2, knight at e6 check. Okay, he's going for this one. Maybe knight at d4, just to cover b3 and attack. Yeah, even if I pick up the queen, there's still the counter attack is very slow. I have to defend. Knight b5 check. Rook at a8. Yeah, I don't know. Do I have better? Pawn at here. What about rook takes and pawn at a7? Oh, hang on. There's knight at... Oh no, pawn at a7. King here. Just make a queen. And knight at a7 to finish, I think. Yeah. Alright, that was very lucky. I was almost getting mated on b2. So, wow. Game was a bit of a mess. I think it was just a one-move blunder. He missed knight b5 check. f4. Probably just start f5 and open up the bishop quickly. So he allowed bishop d4. I mean, it turned out okay for him in the end, actually. Queen h5 was a very interesting move. Maybe I should be copying him and asking him if he has something better than bishop d4. So knight a b3. Yeah, so there's a bit of a weakness on b7. Can always cover that this way, but I should watch out for bishop takes a7. Yeah, really don't see anything. I don't want this knight to be trapped forever like it was in the previous game, so... I mean, I just don't see any options apart from knight d6 to free the pieces. And then it's a matter of... Yeah, thanks Legion. That was one of those self-capitulating time scrambles in the end. I was on the edge of losing for a second. So I assume he's going to try knight e5 again. And then, yeah, I don't want to make the mistake of taking here so quickly. I just want to move this knight and then play d6 to kick him away. And it's also an option to put this knight on c4 instead. But I've got to watch things like knight takes, and then bishop takes, snatching a pawn on a7. And then I have to think, can my knight on c4 set up some counterattack via e3 perhaps? Of course, not forgetting that the bishop on a7 covers e3 in reverse. Sometimes there's a sneaky way you can attack the bishop with tempo, or even block out the bishop, or a move like rook a8. And then even go for a2. So yeah, I wasn't expecting bishop c5. So first move I'm looking at is knight e4. If he takes knight e5, I think that works out okay. Can I just go d6? He's getting a lot of knights in hand, but I've got c6 and f7 covered. They're the key squares with the knight on e5. So what else after knight e4? take this way. Can't see how that's a problem. I got e7 covered. Alright, so Fumitoks used the bishops very well in the previous game, so I'm borrowing some of his strategy here. Bishop b4. Interesting square to put the bishop. If I try to hunt it, I guess he's just coming back to a3. So a move like d6 I'd be looking at. And it seems like it's just a very nice move to cover a lot of the minor pieces, to control them. So in 960, a lot of the top players think it's more chess-like compared to normal Crazyhouse. It's more strategical. But the thing is, it's because the pieces are weirdly placed, it's very easy to just miss one-move tactics. I mean, I did in the match against littleplotkin. We've both done this in this match here. So yeah, these simple 1-2 move tactics are very easy to miss when the pieces are on such odd squares. All right, so I think this is a good move to challenge the knight on e4. So any way to defend it? What about bishop d5? Also looking at the direct trade and knight back on g4. So we could take with the queen and then stick the queen on g1 or g2. Knight on g4 is okay, especially if I can follow it up with the similar sorts of tricks that I did in the previous game. But if ever I trade the bishop, of course, this becomes a terrible weakness on e6. There's always the option of castling queenside, but I've got to remember the king lands on c8 and not b8. Right, so these are just some of my thoughts. Knight c4 is interesting. Take. Knight at e3, king c1. There's also a bit of pressure on b2, but I don't quite feel like I have enough trades. Queen a4 is also interesting, or queen b5. So a lot of moves worth considering. But I'm gonna take here first because no need to give up a pawn. And just looking for ways he can attack me with his queen. Nothing really that stands out to me. b7 is a little bit of a weakness, but I think I should start with queen a4. And then he doesn't really want to allow this because then rook a1, he's losing too many pawns. And don't forget these bishops are also open. It's just a reminder to myself more than anything rather than the chat. Bishop a3 expected. And ideas of knight c4 or knight at g4 first. So I'm going to start with knight at g4. And then just make sure I got all these knight drops covered. Queen might be useful to defend backwards. There's a possible knight at c5 to watch for. So what next? Take. Still no knight at e3 yet. Okay, so knight c4 is the move I'm looking at. Yeah, so I've got the queen defending backwards in case of queen a7. Would like a little bit of space to castle kingside if I need to, so this could be a useful move. It's just a matter of time. But yeah, I mean, one obvious idea is to just take the bishop here and grab the extra pawn and threaten a2. I think the queen's hack is a bit too outrageous to even think about. I mean, one day maybe there'll be a knight landing on e3, but we'll see about that. Yeah, so what other ideas? Even strategical ideas like knight takes d2, and then pawn at e3. Very interesting to open up these bishops and keep a lot of the pieces shut out here. So Fumi's taking his time. I do feel like black has the edge, but these games can swing in the time scrambles, as we saw suddenly. Yeah, because if I get a pawn to e3 and I get a knight in hand, knight at f2 looks really damaging, because then all I would need is another pawn to mate. So knight d2 is a very interesting idea. I mean, he's probably considering mainly knight takes a3. Knight at d4, right. Now I don't want to take this because of queen takes, although there is, oh no, don't think about it. He's hoping for probably knight at e3 check, although it's actually not such a bad idea. And then take, king moves, queen trade. So what happens on knight takes a3? There's a bit of a weakness here. c5 is an interesting move. You could take there twice. Queen takes a2. Just watching the time more than anything. Alright, so I really do like the look of knight takes d2. Because one idea is to remove the defender here, so I can go bishop takes. And if king takes, I can block out the queen via pawn at e3. So there's a lot of very tempting moves, but yeah, this might even work out somehow better with the knight on d4. But let's see. He could come up with some unexpected move to surprise me. Wouldn't be the first time. Knight takes, bishop takes. Oh wow, what's this? Why can't I go rook takes? Hang on, I just go knight at e3 check. Yeah, this is mate in 4. So 1, 2... Oh, I can take here, I suppose. It's not mate in 4. But yeah, it will be a mate very soon. Yeah, that's it. So 2 games all. Oof. GG's, fumitoks. Very nice games. Well played in the first 2. As I said, probably the turning point in the whole match was that moment where fumitoks missed knight to b5 check in game 3, and that suddenly turned the game around. And I really couldn't give an accurate evaluation as to who was winning that game. It was a really dangerous sack that he did on a3. A very interesting move, knight at a3 to make the game super sharp and double-edged. So Legion's saying in the chat, there's a bit of comments. I wasn't paying attention. So Juiceball was saying instead of knight c4, where was he talking about? So what was your idea on bishop takes b2? He's saying, what do you think of bishop takes b2? So bishop takes b2 in response, queen takes a2, and then he has to find a way to deal with queen takes. Could he play king c1 in response? Does that cover everything? There's a pawn at a3, I suppose. There's a bit of a delay, so I know it's hard to answer questions. It's a bit hard to communicate live because the idea of the delay is that people don't suggest moves. I mean, I guess it's fine if you suggest moves that happened 3 or 4 moves ago and it doesn't affect the current position. But yeah, I certainly don't want any interference in a live position when it could influence the course of the game. So just while saying GSVC would say free pawn easy. So I'm not sure about the exact position. Is it really a free pawn? Well, you get 2 pawns for a piece. I'm just not sure what happens after king c1. But I guess pawn a3 looks pretty good. So yeah, it could very well be a free pawn. So rook takes, queen takes is the idea. So probably just black is in a good position after this queen a4 and the knight trade and knight at g4. So just trying to keep a lot of the white pieces sort of stuck. And I thought d6 was a good move to try and limit the scope of 3 of the minor pieces. So what else is going on in the chat? And Lige is saying knight at c3. Oh, he does have a knight in hand, yeah, after queen takes a2. So he's probably going to hear this 40 or 50 seconds later. But yeah, I just forgot that white had a knight in hand, so it does seem like a good response. Anything else going on in the chat? We have somebody new. Hatta Wales, I don't know how to say that. 22 flex. Is that some code? Or I don't know how to break up the letters and numbers in your name to make a coherent phrase. But welcome to the chat. He says, my favorite type of streams. Crazy. Oh no, it's a spam. Spammers are always welcome. They boost the numbers in the chat. But seems like an ad for icons and overlays and banners. Anything else going on in the chat? Maybe not enough. Yeah, so I think the way I played it was very challenging for fumitoks, to say the least. So knight c4, there's a lot going on because it's not an easy idea to find this knight takes d2, because whichever way he takes, there are problems. And I was really hoping for something like knight takes d2, pawn at e3, knight moves somewhere, I pick up a knight, and then knight at f2 looks very strong for black. So just stepping forwards a little. And yeah, I really don't know any improvements here for white, because obviously the queen can't move, there's a knight at e3 check coming. It looks just busted here. So I think the key moments in the game were already after d6. I think black is doing very well. So maybe not bishop c5. I think in Crazyhouse 960 it's often better to just leave the bishops in the corner. So to open up the bishops is fine on the first couple of moves, but then you don't actually need to move them, because often you don't really improve their placing when you go forwards with the bishops. You don't really improve the number of squares that they control on the board, and unless you have a specific idea to trade here. I suppose his idea was that he was going to be safe on one of these 2 squares, but just didn't work out in the end. So yeah, it's a symmetrical position. I guess maybe white should think about either putting the knight on c5 or e5, or which way is going to castle. Maybe try and prepare even a way to castle on the king side. So I have another match scheduled against zyxon, or Firefly from the old fixed days, a Swedish player. And he was always one of the very best Swedish players, always one of the top 10 players on the fixed server in Bughouse. So very strong positional player, so we might get some similar sorts of games. I'm not sure how to describe fumitoks' style, because he can do anything. I feel like he's good at all aspects of the game. Maybe just sometimes he is a bit impulsive, you could say, and just rushes into decisions without thinking. He's obviously very, very used to berserking and playing bullet time controls 1 minute, or he often flags me when or even beats me on the board was he's berserking and I've got the increment, and I've got the 2 seconds at the end and he's got no time, but he still just bashes out all these amazing quality moves at the end. So it's hard to say that he has a particular weakness, but I think he's just good at all aspects of the game. But it was good to come away with the 2 games at the end, because it wasn't looking good. I went down 3-1 against Littleplotkin on Tuesday and was blundering terribly, and I was just hoping to at least lower the blunder rate. So the 4th game, I think, was the best quality from my perspective out of all the games I played so far. And game 3 was a bit of a mess. It was kind of all over the place. I thought he had a good opening. He GSVC style just snatched a pawn on h2 for free. I bailed out by castling. I actually forgot that the king didn't land on b1 when I castled queenside, and then he had this rook at a1. I was just lucky to survive, but came up with a counter-attack in the end. So I've got about half an hour. I might just take a quick 2-minute break, and then we'll see if anyone wants to play some training games, or maybe I should let the chat do a bit of talking. It's in half an hour, just bowled at 9 a.m. The match against Firefly is in half an hour from now, so 9 a.m. UTC on Friday. And I'm not sure what's at 10 a.m. Central European time. It's probably disgustingly early in America or Canada. Does anyone know which time zone Fumitoks is from? I think he has spent some time in America, but it was a while ago, so I'm not sure where he is currently. Okay, so 2-minute break. What can I do? Is there any TV action going on or current games? Someone's taking on Fairy Stockfish in Gothic chess. Oh no, I just realized. Oh, could you see the games okay? I just realized I was meant to change it to the game display. And I actually have two versions of the display. One where you have 10x8 board, like Gothic chess, or I think, what's the other one? Capablanca chess. And I have an 8x8 board, which doesn't look good here, obviously. But was the display okay in the Crazyhouse 960 games? Let me just go back to one of my games. I think oh no, here it is. Ah, sorry, I think I might have had my face over the pieces, did I? Ah. Legion can play a single game. Alright, can you wait a minute or two? I'll just have a quick drink and I'll come back. Right. So we have about 25 minutes to the Firefly match. It will be here on piechess.org, which is the website down the bottom left of your screen. I will try to change the display to a better view where you can see the pieces in hand, so sorry about that again. If you catch the stream or watch the video on YouTube later, yeah, I hope you have a good memory as to what black is holding, because I think the rook and the queen were cut off. Right, so if Legion is still here, Legion, do you have an account on Piechess? They're just saying they think Fumitoks is in New York City. Is that West Coast or East Coast? I don't know my geography very well. I think it's East Coast, isn't it? So is that not Pacific time? The other one, Eastern time. So that means it would have started at 3:30 in the morning. Are you serious? Hang on, have I got the time right? They're 16 hours behind Sydney. That's 12 hours and then -4 off Sydney time, which was 6:30 p.m. That would have been 2:30 a.m. So if Legion is still here, yeah, so Chuck's saying it's 3:30 now, but when we started the match it would have been 2:30 a.m. So what kind of, I don't know, job or study do you have that ends at 2 or 2:30 a.m. Maybe he has to get up and go to work at 3:30 in the morning. I mean, I haven't been to mainland America, but I hear New York City is pretty crazy. Like, it's, what do they call it? The city of no sleep? Oh, however the song lyrics go. City that never sleeps. So Legion, you can choose the time control. I'm open to whatever. I mean, even like 2+2 or something. If you need to go faster, whatever you like. You just send your challenge to the lobby by going create game and then Crazyhouse 960, and then I shall accept, or you can send a direct challenge, whatever works. Yeah, so if you want to play 2 games of like 2+2 or 2+1 or something, that's fine with me, or because yeah, I've got 25 minutes or so. If you have to go soon, then yeah, you can choose the time control. So I see Legion Destroyer joined the lobby on Piechess. What happens when I go players? Yeah, I always keep forgetting to change the display when I start the match. So quite a lot of players here for Piechess, about the most I've ever seen. 8 anonymous plus 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, plus the 2 bots. So the Deadly Stalker YT says, hey, can I play you Classic? Well, this is, for now, it's only a Crazyhouse 960 stream. You want to go 5+5? No, I'm going to just wait 10 more seconds because he might have only heard me when the stream catches up on his end. But if he wants to cancel the challenge, oh no, he says, can't you see it? Okay, if you want to go 5+5, so you take the white pieces. What do we have? And how do people find out about the stream anyway? Maybe Deadly Stalker can tell me. Because if it's not on Leeches, let me just quickly jump. No, I mean, I deliberately didn't put littleplotkin in the stream title, so what do we have here? Just going to start knight f6. So some of the pieces are in the same or similar positions to regular chess or Crazyhouse. Yeah, Juicepole does make all conversation very funny. But I think when you start the stream that you can't then change the delay. Like if you have a pause or your match ends. If someone knows how to do that, they could tell me, but I'm not aware of any way to change the stream delay halfway through a stream. I guess it will make all the buffering and stuff very difficult to store. So, Legion's gone b3. And of course in regular chess or Crazyhouse you'd follow up bishop b2, but not so necessary here. I'm going to go I'm going to go b5. Knight f3. You're always looking out for tricky stuff like knight at a3, but of course it doesn't really do anything here. I have a crazy idea. I'm full of crazy ideas today. I'm going to go rook b6 because I wanted to follow up with rook a6, and not sure how Legion's going to defend this pawn here. Knight c3, I can answer b4. Also have the other idea even to play g5. Does it leave too many weaknesses though? Let's see. Bishop takes here, maybe even pawn takes. Knight in hand doesn't do too much. g4 is a kind of a threat. Yeah, whatever. We'll see. It's only a fun casual game. So Chuck Moulton says it's promoted on the house Discord. So anyone who sees the notification will see it on the Discord server. Yeah, h3 quite sensible to stop g4. So a crazy person would get h5 here in response. Am I crazy enough to play h5? Yeah, of course I am. While the bishop is unprotected, but he probably should do something like queen f1. Alright, knight e3. Yeah, rook a6 was definitely one intention. I just got distracted with this g5, h5 stuff. Let's see. g4, take. Yeah, I can't do that right now, of course. Rook g8. I think I'm going to go back to plan B and play rook a6. Was it plan B or was it plan A? I think I should call this plan A. So I wonder how I can prepare g4. Of course it's not necessary to push g4, I can just leave these pawns here. Inviting him to take and then trade the bishop. So the knight's on kind of a funny square over there on g2. I can't see how he has any direct threats on b7. Yeah, with only a bishop in hand, bishop and pawn in hand. And he still has a few worries about the pawn on a2. Not even sure whether it's worthwhile going rook g8, because then at some point if he trades here and then could have something landing on h7, pawn at h7. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have to really worry too much about that. So one of my typical ideas in Crazyhouse 960 is to always make him think twice about which side to castle. So I'm trying to put pressure on both sides of the board at the same time. So here, any use playing the bishop back on b7 or bishop at d5? Bishop at b7, bishop at f3. Can't really see any point doing that, so I'm just going to go rook takes a2. Even up the material. Yeah, I'm still not quite sure whether the bishop's destined for a light square like b7 or whether it's worthwhile to keep the option of bishop at a3. Maybe it's not a good move right at this second, but just keep that idea as an option. It's actually quite hard for white to challenge the rook on a2 at the moment. useful to stop bishop at a6. Alright, so he's bolstering the defense on the dark squares. Always looking for moves like bishop at a3 check, but that doesn't seem to do much at the moment. So perhaps now bishop at b7, bishop takes, pawn takes, bishop takes. I can then go bishop takes g2, bishop takes rook. I really would like a knight in hand though, so e5 is an idea, bishop h6 is an idea. I actually do really like the look of bishop h6, so I don't mind. Sorry, shuck again. Every time I start a game, I keep meaning to switch the display. And then I forget. I have to write a note to myself somewhere on the screen to remind myself. Yeah, so as I was saying, I don't mind if he picks up a pawn on f6 because the knight in hand, once he moves the bishop away, is really useful for a potential rook sack on c2, and then a knight at b4 or knight at a3. Maybe just bishop at b7. Yeah, I could also trade a knight this way. I don't have to allow the pawn to come closer. And of course, if the knight goes back anywhere, then the bishop is very useful here to point straight at the king. Yeah, so he's giving up a rook here, which I certainly don't want to take at the moment. Let's see, better options. Knight e6 looks pretty good. Other ideas, maybe just king b8 looks safe. I even have crazy ideas to play a5 and b4. What else? Could I threaten somehow to play bishop takes h1? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really feel like I need to do anything rash at the moment. Just gonna go knight to e6. So expecting trade, and maybe not at c5, or he could even come back around this way. So yeah, let's see if this sack works. If I have imagine I have a knight and a rook in hand. This is how I use my creativity in Crazyhouse, just pretending that I have pieces that I don't, and seeing what I can do with them. Let's see. D takes opens up the queen to cover the king a bit more. Yeah, probably go this way. Just give him that useless rook. He found a way to challenge the rook on a2. Also possible ideas of pawn at a6, c6. Yeah, and rook takes avoids bishop at a3 tricks. Alright, I need a good idea. Rook a5. Yeah, where's the knight going to make this discovered attack work? I'm not sure. But pawn at e6, pawn at c6 I don't mind, pawn at a6 I don't mind. I wonder what to put on a2, what to prepare. Pawn at a2. Yeah, I mean, I'm even looking at he's picking up a rook, sticking the rook here, take, take, take. But then I still need a bit more material to make that work. Bishop takes f6. Alright, just go pawn takes. What's the big plan? Ah, he's got knight at e7, okay. But I do have bishop at a3 check. Yeah, so if I start with bishop at a3 check, it might help to cover the square e7. The move order is quite tricky. Hey, Katask, welcome. So pawn at a2 I could even throw in here. But I like the simple bishop takes c6, because now that the bishop covers e7. And now there's suddenly attacks going on from all angles. I'd like to set up a queen sack on c2. Yeah, I mean 2 knights certainly should be enough. Ideas of pawn at a2, but then the bishop is stopping the smothered mate. That's not such a hasty way to attack. Oh, but surely this is getting mated. Yeah, I didn't even think about the king coming out this way. I just assumed that I'm going to have a mate. So this is the square. Maybe I shouldn't assume, but you know me. You know the way I play. Time to run, he says. Yeah, what's the saying? You can run, but... Ah, he's giving me some time. Nah, I don't ask for time. Come on, knight a2 check. Yeah, he's got to do the moves in the right order to stop him running over to f3. But I feel like this is achievable. Because even if I go knight d5, I'm going to take a bishop with check. And then, if his king is here, the idea is when it reaches e4 to cut the king off via bishop at g2 and then finish with the pawns. So it's tricky move orders I'm not quite sure about. But if here, then I've got knight at c5. And maybe he can go back and ask for a draw. Or maybe I should say beg for a draw. How much time did he give me? Yeah, well, I'm not so sure I'm going to repeat the moves. Yeah, so this way the idea is knight at c5. And then, yeah, it's just mate in one. Oh, it's not mate in one. Okay. Well, that wasn't so clever. Yeah, but then... Oh, what? He's still trying to get over this way, sneakily enough. Yeah, let's not allow him to do this. Pawn at d4 check. Yeah, there must be a better way to do this, but well, it's just a bit of fun. So now bishop takes b2 check was the original idea. And then to go pawn at... Yeah, pawn at e5 check, so I've got this capture covered. And then there's pawn at b7 to mate. And if he goes this way, bishop... Oh, hang on. Don't tell me I actually have to think. I mean, thinking is something I really want to avoid right now. King c3. Yeah, I shouldn't just hope for things to work out. Pawn at, king here, knight here, king takes, bishop there. No, that's getting too messy. That's not working. Well, let's... Oh, he's giving me some more time again. Oh, thanks, Legion. You're too kind. Alright, let's go back. Maybe bishop d4 did lead to a mate, but I just couldn't quite see it. Pawn at d3. We'll come back to b4. And he's escaped. Alright. Why don't people just resign, or why people don't just resign when they're mated? This is exactly the reason. Alright, so now what? I've lost the mate. Do I defend with bishop at b7? Can I afford to take this guy? I'm just gonna go bishop b. At least there's a threat. But aren't I safe here? I mean, he's only got one knight in hand. Knight here, king here. So it's a roundabout way. Not the best way for a warm-up against a Firefly. So bishop at f3. Do I really have to think about this? Can't I just take stuff and mate? e4 check. Yeah, okay. Knight at d4 check. Where's it all going? Maybe queen at g4 worked. I don't know, it's just... it's not working now, that's for sure. Right. I have lost the ability to mate. GG, why is he saying GG? GG. Oh. I don't know. I've really had enough of this game. On my screen it said it ended, sorry. Oh. I don't know, I think white's actually winning here. Alright, let's just come back to a sensible moment of the game, which is quite a long time ago. Is there something really obvious I'm missing here? Queen at g4, knight at f4. King g1, knight h3, king h2 was why I didn't play queen at g4 in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what to do here. Defend with queen at b7 check. And take here or something. Don't even know what to do. But so after queen at e7, it's actually a very interesting move because if I don't have a direct threat, I played bishop at f3, but I should have just gone bishop at g4 check. f3, then take. Alright, surely that's just mating. But I wonder around here, did I have a really simple mate that I missed? Because bishop at e5, this is what I wanted to avoid, the king coming back to g2 this way. I mean, I'm not sure even what's wrong with something like bishop takes g5 and then I just ask him how to mate me, because the knight does a good job of covering the key squares here. This knight covers c6 in case my king is on d7. So yeah, but what about this position? This really felt like mate. Again, probably just bishop takes g5. But I was trying to do it all with checks. Is there something really cute here? Or should I just start dropping pawns like pawn at c4? But then king e4, how do I stop king f3, king g2? Legion said He said GG, sorry for the GG early when I still had 5 seconds. But I think White was winning on the board as well as on time. But yeah, now that the stream is catching up to Legion, I think I'm just trying to go backwards and find all the mates that I missed. So at first I was trying to find a way for the knight to stop the king running this way, or of course the bishop on g2. So that's why I put the knight on c5, but then I don't know, I got stuck with this move order with the king. Knight b4, king back, knight here, knight back. I didn't actually see an easy win doing it all the way with checks. But yeah, maybe just come backwards. Pawn at d4 check, does that work out any better? And then bishop takes b2, I don't know, something takes. Pawn at e5 check, king e4, bishop at g2, f3, pawn here, king e3, bishop at e3 to finish. That's sort of what I was playing for, so it's what I saw intuitively with the queen sack. I just thought there must be some move order to make it work. But of course, yeah, I mean, even if this isn't a forced mate, there must be lots of other good moves here. Yeah, I mean, I could start with just picking up another knight, bishop takes g5. That would have been a simple way too. So it's about the scheduled time when we are going to start the match against Firefly or Zyxon. And let's see if he's online. Just going to refresh the players page. So it looks like Zyxon is online. Let's send him a challenge. So I think this is only going to be a 2-game match. And how do we do this? Alright, so go challenge. Well, let's make this 5+5. Alright, so Crazyhouse 960 random color. And I'm just going to remember to change the display. There we go. All right. Just confirming it's a 2-game match. All right, here we go. So a nice fresh position again. Going to start with c4, just opening the bishop on b1. And don't seem to be any weaknesses in my position. Of course, if I check my position, then that also automatically checks the opponent's position. So perhaps I'll take a different approach this time and just start looking for weaknesses. So f4 seems like a good idea to just open up the other bishop early. Knight g3 possible, but not sure whether he wants to play f4 and allow knight h5. What other ideas? He could respond knight d6 and then challenging the c4 pawn. And then b3 looks... okay, let's go for this one. So f4, I think, for me is still a good move if he allows it next. It's just a little bit more aggressive to bring the knight out early, because the bishop, yeah, it isn't really going to do too much. So already it's good to see that we're thinking from move 1. So b3, I suppose, just knight f6. He's playing to limit the scope of the minor piece. Probably should go f4. Or maybe b3 first. Yeah, b3 first, I think, and then just open up the queen. Alright, so I just noticed this very interesting option to take here and then pawn at g7. Does it work? Knight g6 in response. Take. But I would rather end up with a knight here to pressure e7 Oh, hang on. No, hang on. If I take with the knight first, take pawn at knight g6. This bishop takes f5. And then it looks like I would then rook f7. Very sharp opening. Do I want the bishop on f5? So I'm going to take the rook here. Knight takes back. And he just has pawns. So which piece do I want here? The knight or the bishop? The knights are worse defenders. So maybe the knight. So hard to decide. Yeah, I'm going to the knight. Just only reason is because knights are worse defenders than bishops. And I know Zyxon is extremely talented at working out defensive formations, especially when he's in trouble. He's a very good defender in Bughouse. He can quickly identify what are the key squares that he needs to cover. But this is certainly a very challenging move for him. Already move 4. So I'm certainly going to have to find improvements when I'm playing the second game as black. And another idea, possibly at some point sacking the queen, but just wait for the right time. But I guess that was the reason why bishop takes, and then with the knight hitting on e7 was preferable. But anyway, I still like knight takes f5. So one of my ideas, if I can pick up a second pawn, is that if he doesn't move the knight, if he puts the new knight on g6, that I can take one of the pieces and then put a second pawn on g7. But of course I can't do that until I take on f5, so the move order is going to be very important here. He hasn't taken. Alright, so knight takes is the obvious move to me. Knight h6 also possible. Knight takes, king takes. Knight takes, king takes. Is he really going to take with the king? It's just too tempting to resist knight takes e7. Pawn at g7, knight f7. Doesn't seem to go anywhere. Knight h6. What does it do? Not enough. I don't have a lot of attacking pieces though. I've decided to go knight h6. Knight takes e7. I mean, must be a good move, but I just couldn't quite see enough. So I'm not necessarily wanting to trade here. I'm trying to stop knight to f7 so I can trade and then replace the knight back on g5, for instance. Alright, and always got to watch out for ideas of sacking the queen and stop myself pre-moving and watch the clock all at the same time. So if I need reinforcements, it's either knight f3, knight g5, or it's f4, bishop d4. At some point, if I want a pawn, bishop takes g6 could be on the cards. Right, so if this trade does happen, I hit the bishop moves somewhere. I always forget about moves like this. Castles. This I did not consider. Very good move. Now I'll probably just play slowly with knight to f3. b6. Knight e5, knight g5. I gotta watch this square g2. What about I castle too? So possibly watch your bishop landing on a3, but that's okay at the moment. Alright, I'll watch this queen especially coming down to g2. Knight g5, knight d4. Alright, now I'm going to go pawn at a6. I think this is a good move because I'm preparing to take another pawn. Trying to make it as difficult as possible for him to defend. Very hard to defend the square b7. And even if he moves the queen, I'm still going to snatch the pawn anyway. d5, right, so now it's time to play knight g5 or knight d4. Any preference? None really. Knight d4. Just because it's closer to the king, I suppose. 51 seconds. Alright, so what's his idea when I take this pawn? What's he going to do next move? I don't understand. Pawn takes pawn, knight takes bishop, or this way. B takes c4. Or knight takes bishop. Knight takes bishop. Alright, so I can take a rook any time, maybe bishop at f3. Bishop at h3 also looks very good. Let's go bishop at f3. So he'd probably trade and stick a pawn here or something, no? I'm just going to take that one. Maybe pawn at b5 to follow. Pawn at f7 is an idea. He's getting a bit too many defensive pieces, a bit too much space around the king, that's what I mean. Alright, 2 pawns. Yeah, so expecting something like this. King c2, queen takes a3. Should I just clean up the thingo? I think I'm going to play safe and just take the pawn. We bring the knight back to, let's say, g5. Just gotta watch the clock. What's the material count? I'm up a piece. Bishop d6, take that one. Bishop c6. This has got to be good. Pawn at b7, or yeah, pawn at b7. I got too many pawns, otherwise he'd be safe. But yeah, I got too many pawns. This really should be game over. Knight takes e6 is possible. What else? King b8. Knight at b5, I need another knight in hand. I'll just take the rook. Maybe bishop to c6? Because then I can play bishop... Oh, there's also knight at g5. Why isn't that mate in one? King f4... f4. Oh, it is mate in one. Yes, f4. I didn't want the same thing to happen against Legion. So, alright, b3. I didn't start with b3. Has he got a new idea? Bring the queen out into the open. Alright, this square is guarded. What did I do last time? It worked out well. f5. I'm going to start with a knight move this time. g6. Alright. So... bit of a weakness on g7. Perhaps e5. Yeah, playing the center with e5. I'm just trying to lock the queen out from g7. So he's potentially threatening e5. This is a bit of a target. Yeah, I really should be more confident with the forced mates because I know a position when I have a forced mate. It's just I often bungle around just trying to look for something fancy when I should be just more direct. So, of course, you always got to watch out for knight drops on the 6th and 7th rank when you allow a knight trade early, but I think everything is okay at the moment. I'd like to play b6. Where does the knight belong? Yeah, we'll see. Not sure. So the knight's tied down to g7. I got to remember that. Anything else? Perhaps f6 and bring the bishop out this way. Or are there more urgent matters? b6 to stop this knight moving. But he's going to go knight f3 and knight g5, I suppose. Then f6. Yeah, I gotta watch. There's possible trick on e5, and then I got the bishop covering e5 though. No, I don't see any tricks at the moment. I just gotta watch out for this e7 square. It's a bit sensitive. Alright, any problem with playing h5? Again, I'm looking at this e7 square. Can't. Yeah, if I want to push f6, no, I don't think I need to play f6. But I do want to knock away this knight from f5. It's his best placed piece. Knight d6 just is a bit useless. So now he could be threatening something like knight takes, bishop takes, queen takes, knight takes, pawn at e7. So how do I cover the e7 square? I mean, I can castle, but that doesn't really help resolve the issue. Yeah, f6 also probably just makes things worse. Perhaps the move is knight d6, take, knight drop. No, I don't like that either. Yeah, a bit stuck for a good idea. My pieces just all seem tied up to defending these three squares. good ideas. I'm gonna get out of here and castle, even though there will be a pawn at e7. At least it won't be a check. Yeah, but I think white already has a huge advantage. Mainly because I allow this knight to f5 somehow, but I don't know. It's a bit much to say e5 was the blunder. We're only up to move 6 though, so if it wasn't e5, there must be one of the other moves. c5, b6. I don't know. All right, well let's try and do the best we can in a bad situation. a4. Yeah, again, is it a problem allowing a5? And take, replace the pawn? Other ideas? Knight c7 doesn't work. Can't move the knight anywhere, really. Don't like this position. I think not there. I think I'm gonna have to find a way to offer him a pawn. And he can take g7 if he wants. It's like a positional pawn sacrifice just to gain time. Because my pieces are just so stuck. No, but he can take this one, but then at least there's knight takes knight. Yeah. I don't know, I'm half expecting him to play a5. Just taking and replacing the knight on f5 is also quite good, it seems, for white. And anything better than just coming back with the bishop. Again, there's this awful possibility of pawn at e7 coming soon. But yeah, what else? Bishop c7. Alright, here we go. Punish me. I deserve to be punished. Made some positional mistakes and I deserve punishment. Knight takes g7. Alright. Feel like it gives me something. But I'm not sure what to hope for. Because there's this, yeah, e7 again. It's pretty awful. e4. e4, knight g5. Yeah, I don't know. I had to stop bishop takes g6. Yeah, as expected. Maybe f5. But then knight takes and bishop takes. Another idea is to... Oh, what? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Alright. I've done it. It's too late now. Yeah, that was pretty dumb. Alright, now just getting desperate. Well, f5 surely was... I still didn't like knight takes f5. Alright, yeah, he's gonna do the same thing to me that I did to him. I think I have to play rook takes d5. I wanted to get time for this, but it's not happening. Yeah, I think even if it's a bad move, I just have to do it. So any other sneaky in-between moves if bishop takes rook? Pawn at c4. Ugh, yuck. Oh, don't do that to me. pawn at d3 just to deflect the bishop away. So bishop takes, knight takes, pawn takes rook, knight takes queen. Problem is he's just getting too safe. But what choice did I have? What, I can't pick up a pawn? Was that the only pawn I could have taken? Oh, what's this? It's a nice move, that's what it is. Yeah, alright, gotta take with the pawn. And just hope I can pick up a knight somehow. Yeah, now the c-file's open. That's probably resignable. Yeah, pawn at c6, pawn at d7. I wonder if he's going to try and save as much material as possible. But yeah, this diagonal is just too strong, combined with threats on the c-file. Combined with the fact that I'm about 3 pieces down. At least I haven't given him one of the queens yet. Yeah, okay, I have to take something, some knight. Yeah, it's only a check. It's not gonna hurt you. Only a check. Now I need a pawn. I'm gonna sack a queen for it if he lets me. Wow, what? King's hiding on c2. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, queen c6 just doesn't work. The king is safe on c2. I'm sure he noticed that a long time ago. He's just playing around with me. Yep. And shall we give him the queen? Alright, let's give him the queen just for fun. Yeah, I don't know. It's too good this game. Alright. Just saying too many holes. The knight on f5 was very strong. He says he lost in 3 moves. I lasted around 10. Yeah, I thought black was already in a very difficult position when that knight was on f5 and my pieces were pretty much all tied up. So I decided to, yeah, sack a pawn on g7. Yeah, sack a pawn on g7 just to try and buy me some time, but yeah, white was just way too safe for the whole game. And yeah, this counterplay was never going to work. I just had to give up too many pawns to distract the pieces away. Even eventually I got a hole on e2, which there was no way to force a sequence of checks and take a pawn on for e2. So well played. 2 pretty convincing games with the white pieces. So it was all even today. So before the zyxon match, it was a match against fumitoks, which was 2 games all, and this was just 1 game all. So I'm slightly less than 50% after my abysmal performance against Plotkin, going down 1 game to 3 the other day. So what's my total score out of 10? 4 out of 10? Could be better, could be worse. But the bad news is I've got 2 of the strongest Crazyhouse players, Jasugi and JK the Bullfrog. I just haven't heard back from them about the scheduling yet. But hopefully we can arrange a match before the middle of March, and that is when the 3+2 Crazyhouse World Champ is about to start. So let's see if anyone... Yeah, I was deliberately not trying to follow the chat during the game because usually people just put me off, especially when they find good moves and then I find a good reason not to do them. So I'm mainly talking about the first game. Yeah, I mean, I had the idea to take on e7 and pawn g5 in the opening, but decided to play safe because that was my downfall in the last couple of matches, trying to play too aggressively. But anyway, anything else? Any other questions in the chat? Is anyone still here? Because it's been about 2 hours and it's past my dinner time, so probably just take a break. So just in case anyone does check out the video on YouTube, which I will post, the first match against Fumitoks, it was in the other display where I was accidentally hiding a few of the pieces, but at least the board still worked. I just forgot to change the display. And yeah, so this is part of the Crazyhouse 960 Team League. These are both board 1 matches. I also forgot to change the stream title to Mugwort versus zyxon, but anyway, you get the idea. So so it's part of the Crazyhouse 960 Team League, which is a bit of an experiment this time, because it's normally just regular Crazyhouse on leechess.org. And so we're trying this new site, PyChess, and it seems to be working very well. All the matches have been going very smoothly so far. And just unfortunately a few untimely blunders against littleplotkin, but I think my play has picked up at least a little bit since then in most of the games. So thank you, Just Bold. Yeah, I thought I was reasonably happy with the play today, even though 50% is certainly no embarrassment against 2 very strong Crazyhouse and Bughouse players. So yeah, I thought I did pretty well. I was reasonably happy with the games overall. So thanks guys for watching. Check it out on YouTube in case you missed any and you'd like to catch up on the other matches. And take care. I'll be on later after dinner in an hour or 2. So have a good rest of your Friday if you're up to that. Or yeah, I think it'll be Friday for just about everyone in the world at the moment. Maybe Hawaii's just turned Friday, but otherwise, have a good weekend. I think there's an elite Crazyhouse coming up. It's 1+1, which I'm not a huge fan of, but yeah, maybe I'll watch a few games. And I could even commentate. I don't feel like playing 1+1, especially because people are going to ask me to stream, and then you see I even get into time trouble in 5+5, so 1+1 just a bit too much for me. Like I'm happy to play casual games against whoever and just for a bit of fun, but in terms of quality matches, like I just make way too many blunders in bullets. It's not worthwhile. But I'm very happy to commentate if the elite is 1+1 if I'm up that early. It is a 6 AM start and I have to get up at 5 or 5:30 to start streaming, so I certainly won't guarantee ever getting up that early on a Saturday morning. But otherwise, if I don't see you, have a good weekend everybody, and see you very soon.